Good day, Algebra. We are continuing through PO60. Yesterday, we defined all these lovely terms. We looked at combining like terms, simplifying like terms. There's another way to simplify an expression, and it's called the distributive property. It involves parentheses. Okay? So whenever you see parentheses, you're thinking this distributive property. And you've probably seen this before. Do you remember, likely back in 5th or 6th grade, learning about things like the commutative property, the associative property, the identity property? It was dumb and you hate it. Well, I'll try and make this less dumb and less hateful. But one of those you may have learned is called the distributive property. And basically, what it says is that if you have a number outside of parentheses, and then in those parentheses, you've got either addition or subtraction. So like A times B plus C. And if you look at, some of the examples that we have here, right, these are all in the form of A times B plus C. You've got something on the outside of parentheses, and then two things being added or subtracted on the inside, okay? And the whole thing about this is, the reason why we can't combine what's on the inside of parentheses is because they're not going to be like terms. We can't take 2n minus 4 because what's wrong with that? Why can't we combine 2n minus 4? Okay, 4 doesn't have an n, right? They're not like terms like we talked about yesterday. Okay, here we have 3n minus 11, n plus 5, n plus 7. Nothing inside of the parentheses is combinable. So what do? Okay, the distributive property says that A times B plus C is equal to, anyone know before I write it down? Anyone remember this? Okay. A times B plus A times C. Okay. A times B plus C, with B plus C in parentheses, is equal to A times B plus A times C. Basically saying, well, first of all, what does the word distribute mean? You distribute something. Johnny?
To give up like a lunch.
To give up, right? You distribute papers, you distribute chicken nuggets, I don't know, but you give things out. So the distributive property here, we are giving this A, this coefficient, to everything inside of the parentheses. And we distribute it using multiplication. Okay? So you multiply A times B and multiply A times C. Here's an example with numbers, right? 8 times n plus 7. Here's our A times B plus C, right? And so what this says, we distribute this 8 into our parentheses. Go ahead and draw those little distribution lines there. And we're going to be multiplying A times B, or in this case, 8 times n, plus A times C, or 8 times 7. Right? So we had n plus 7 inside of our parentheses. And here we see n and 7, and each one's getting multiplied by the 8. Can we multiply 8n together? No, we don't know what n is, right? So we can't change that, but what is 8 times 7? 56. So our expression would simplify to be 8n plus 56. Okay? 8n plus 56. This is a way to kind of undo parentheses. Because we can't combine n and 7, they're kind of trapped in there. Right? Parentheses, according to the order of operations, says, do me first. Right? But we can't because we don't know what n is and you're not combinable. So to get rid of that, to go around that, we distribute that coefficient in, and that allows the parentheses to drop off. Okay? Okay, Blake, yes. We're not sharing water bottles.
I'm thirsty.
Drinking fountain. The one down by the teacher's lounge does.
That's crusty. That's like.
So you can either go down there and grab a drink, or you can bring a water bottle tomorrow.
Oh, you know the water bottle now? You press it, then you drink it.
That's gross. I hope you don't do that.
So
That negates the whole point of having the water bottle available fountain. If you just,
Little
Everybody-
that is like 1,000 times cleaner than the other one.
All right. Next one, 10 times n plus 5. Okay, again, we've got those terms in parentheses, not combinable. So we need to distribute our 10 into the parentheses. Draw those lines in there so you understand where's that 10 going? What's it going to? Okay. And we're multiplying 10 times n plus 10 times 5. Again, notice that what's inside our parentheses, right? N and 5 show up there. And that coefficient, what's outside, there it is there. Okay? So 10n plus 10 times 5. 10n we can't do anything with. What's 10 times 5? 50. And so 10n plus 50 is your expression. Yes, Kate?
Can I flip my water bottle? I'm kind of thirsty.
Sure. Right? The next one, 6 times 2n minus 4. So we have 6 times 2n and 6 times negative 4. In this case, we can do something with that 6 times 2n. Right? What does 6 times 2n equal? Basically, you have like six groups of 2n's, right? Or you have 2n's and you multiply that by 6. How many n's do you have? 12. Right? And then minus 6 times 4. Why is it a minus that time there? Why is it a minus, Carter? Because it's a negative 4. Right? And what is negative 6 times 4? Negative 24. So 12n minus 24. Right? The next one, negative 5 times, in parentheses, 3n minus 11. Be careful with the signs here. Because what's being distributed in is negative 5. What's negative 5 times 3n? Negative 15n. Is this coming back a little bit? Do you remember doing this earlier? No? Yeah, a little bit? Okay. And then doubly careful with signs here because we have a double negative. What's negative 5 times negative 11? What's the sign of that number going to be? Johnny?
Positive.
Positive, right?
Because two positives make a negative.
Two negatives make a positive, right? So negative 15n plus 55. And that plus comes from the fact we've got a negative 5 times a negative 11. So be careful with that. Go ahead and do the next two on your own. The two after that kind of have some more fun stuff going on there. Kind of combines what we did previously. But practice the next two. The method's the same. The process is the same. Distribute that coefficient and draw those distribution lines. And we'll go over answers. You know why those water bottle things were put in, right? Because because in a normal drinking fountain, kids, especially young kids, tend to like put their mouth on the actual spout, which of course spreads germs. And 2 years ago and last year with COVID and everything, was to kind of help to stop the spread. So if you are drinking from the water bottle nozzle, I've seen it actually. I have seen it. It's as high a grade as 6th grade. It's just not a good practice to get into. Not a good practice. Okay, let's look at the first one. What do you get after distributing in that negative 9? I'm going to erase what I did up above so we can draw our distribution lines in there. Okay. In goes the negative 9 into negative 4n and into positive 9. What do we get? What's our expression? Whose confidence? My confidence comes from your confidence. Shay. 36n, a positive 36n, right? Negative 9 times negative 4 is positive 36. And Shay said plus negative 81, which is right? Negative 9 times 9 is negative 81. What's another way to write this? If you wrote this on a test, it would be fine, right? What's another way to write this? Why?
Minus 81.
Right. You could also have just 36n minus 81 because adding a negative is the same as subtracting. Okay. what you have is fine as well. The next one, 2 gets distributed into the parentheses. What'd you get? Someone new. Blake.
6n
6n, good. 2 times 3n.
minus 20.
Excellent. Minus 20. And it's a minus 20 because it's 2 times a negative 10. Okay? That coefficient on the outside gets multiplied by each thing, each term on the inside. Sir. Sure. Yeah. Actually, can you wait till we go over the next two? Just because they add a little bit of a twist. The next two, you will notice that we have that coefficient on the outside of the parentheses here, but then there's something else there. There's more stuff. Okay? And so the question is, what gets distributed into the parentheses? Sometimes kids will say 10n. Sometimes kids will say the 2n. Sometimes kids will say the 8. What do you think? Think about order of operations. Think about like terms here. What do you think gets distributed into the parentheses? Kylie?
2n plus 8 times -2n.
So the whole thing, the 2n plus 8, all of it. Okay. Cade?
None. Nothing.
Nothing? Haley? What like terms can be combined here? So the two, do we just combine the 2n and the negative 2n kind of like we did before? Okay, there's a lot going on here, right? There's a lot of options that it could be this, could be that. Okay, but here's the thing. Here's what I want you to remember here. Number 1, order of operations. What comes first, multiplication or addition? Multiplication. So we have to deal with these parentheses first because 8 times negative 2n minus 7, right? We're multiplying there between the 8 and our parentheses. So this part has got to be done first. Okay? That 2n right now means nothing. Why can't we combine 2n and 8 to get 10n? Why doesn't that work? Oh, it's not here. Riley?
Because 8 doesn't have an n.
Because 8 doesn't have an n. Okay? So if you think about kind of our laws of math, the only option here is we ignore that 2n for now because we have to deal with the multiplication first. And so what gets distributed into parentheses is the positive 8 because that's what's being multiplied. Okay? We can't combine our n terms yet because one is trapped inside those parentheses. We have to release it first. And we do that by distribution. So what do we distribute? It's got to be just the positive 8 because that's what's being multiplied. So 8 times negative 2n is what? 8 times negative 2n.
Negative 16.
Negative 16n. Our 2n from before just comes down, right? We didn't use it yet. 8 times negative 2n is a negative 16n, which is just written as minus 16n. And then what's positive 8 times negative 7? Someone knew. Yeah. Negative 56. Right? Now, what can we do? Now that the parentheses are gone, what can we do from here? This is kind of back to yesterday. Right? We have an expression with 2 n terms. Okay? We can combine them. Now we can use that 2n and combine it with our negative 16n. At the end of the day, how many n's do we have? We start with 2, take away 16. What do we got? Negative 14. Right? So negative 14n minus 56 would be our simplified expression here. Okay? We have to distribute first because of the order of operations. And since we can't combine 2n and 8, just the 8 goes in. The next one's similar. Right? We have to multiply first. So what gets distributed into the parentheses? Even though that 6 doesn't have an n, and neither does the 3, we still can't combine them because of order of operations, right? We have to multiply first. So we have to distribute first. This 6 is going to go down, just like the 2n did before. And what gets distributed into parentheses? Good, excellent. -3, right? That sign belongs to it. So -3 goes into parentheses. -3 times 4n is how many n's? Everybody? -12. Okay? Written as -12n. And then -3 times -5. Everybody, 1, 2, 3. Positive 15. So it's written as plus 15. Since it's positive. And now what can we do? Shay,
Add the 6 and 15.
combine like terms. What's our final expression? Shay? 21 for the constant. What's the whole thing?
-12n plus 20.
Good. -12n plus 21. Okay? We've got to be following those order of operations, following our rules for signs. Okay? Get rid of those parentheses first. Distribute first. Questions on any of this? All right. Cole, you may go now. Okay? Your homework for Abby, question?
How did you get 21?
I got 21 by combining my like terms, my constant, 6 and positive 15 would add to be 21. Okay? I can't touch the end term because there's only one of them there. But notice that my sign followed down, right? It was -12n, -12n. Okay? My final answer there. Your homework for tomorrow is practice with simplifying. You've got 12 of them to do here. The first 4 are all combining like terms, like we did for homework yesterday. The next 4 are all distribution, like we did today. The last 4 are all combo, like the last 2 examples, where you've got to distribute first and then combine like terms you have. Okay? So it's a culmination of yesterday, today, and then both of them together. All right. Yes.
Second row, the last one.
Yeah, second row, last one. Okay, just that negative sign out in front there. What's the coefficient to that set of parentheses? What are we distributing in? Not 0. -1, right? This is like you've got a -1 and then a 4n minus 12. Okay? So the negative sign or -1 would get distributed in. Good question on that. All right. I'm going to let you work. I'm going to come around, check how things are going. This is due tomorrow. 15 minutes, 12 questions. We can definitely play the number game tomorrow. Definitely. All right. That's my math. Thank you.